Welcome to the Vigilance Elite Mindset Showdown, sponsored by Nutrient Survival. This is episode numero dos. Welcome. I'm Shawn Ryan. I'm a former Navy SEAL, and I am a former CIA contractor. The entire premise behind this show is mindset. What we've done is we've picked two individuals from the Patreon Tier 3, Vigilance Elite Patreon Tier 3, and we are putting them through a very specific scenario that is going to trigger a series of decisions that they're going to have to make. What we want is to find out what the mindset was behind each and every decision made based off the scenario. When it comes to mindset, you don't always have exactly what you think you might need and or want. In this specific episode, they're given some very unfavorable items that they're going to need to build a shelter with. You may not always have what you need to survive in a survival situation. Part of mindset's being able to think outside the box. Use what you have available to your advantage. Let's see what the guys come up with.
My name is Brian Garrett. I'm 43 years old. I'm a journeyman lineman. I'm married, and I have 4 daughters and a brand new grandbaby, 8 girls. I have been following Shawn on Patreon for about 1.5 years now, and I'm here today to do the Mindset Challenge.
Hi, I'm Adam, 34 years old, from Texas. My occupation is a chemical plant operator. I've been on Patreon for about 1.5 years. I'm married, have 3 kids ranging from 13 to 3. And I'm here today for the Mindset Challenge.
Absolutely, I'm ready for today, and I have no idea what I'm getting into.
I'm excited today for the Mindset Challenge. I have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. It's going to be crazy.
Gents, welcome to episode 2 of the Vigilance Elite Mindset Showdown. You ready for your scenario?
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Believe it or not, you live in a country that is completely 100% divided politically. We're going at it like this. This is all hypothetical, by the way. Unfortunately, you're on the shit end of the stick on the losing party, and the other ones, the opposing party, is hunting you down, rounding you up, and who the hell knows what they're going to do with you when they get you. So, you jumped in the nearest vehicle you could find, you hot-wired it, and you're hauling ass out of town. There's a safe haven about 5,000 miles east of here that you're trying to reach. Unfortunately, your car just shit the bed. You have a very limited supply of materials to survive with, and you're just gonna have to make do. Gents, part of mindset is being able to do and make shit happen with less than desirable materials. Basically, if you've been dealt a shit sandwich, you gotta learn how to eat it and still be effective. What you need to do is take those materials, you're heading out into the bush, and you need to build a shelter that you will be able to sustain in for at least 1 month until you can come up with a proper recovery plan and reach the safe haven. You have any questions so far?
No, sir.
All right, go ahead and take the masks off. You guys feel prepared?
Always.
Yeah. Real quick, we're going to do an EDC pocket dump. Are your firearms loaded?
Not in the changes.
Don't pull them out, keep them in. What kind of firearm are you carrying?
The 365 HL.
23, 40 cal. Glock.
Anything else?
In my
Pocket
pockets?
knives?
I got a pocket knife.
Pocket knife.
And I got a lighter.
And a lighter.
All right. Unfortunately, all that shit's going on the table right here, except the firearm. We're pro Second Amendment around here, and we enjoy freedom, so we're not going to disarm anybody. But everything else comes out.
Wallet.
You can keep the wallet.
No knife. I mean, no lighter.
All right. All right. So you're going to be graded on your approach to the shelter, concealment, being able to conceal, stability of the shelter, make sure it's not going to fall over. All right. Keeping out of the elements. It's supposed to rain today. It gets windy down here. All right. So you got to be able to keep yourself warm. You need to establish a water supply one way or another, which should be pretty easy. And luckily for you, you do not need to establish a food supply because Nutrient Survival has been generous enough to supply you with basically an endless supply of food. So, day one, Nutrient Survival is giving you snacks. You don't even have to cook anything. These snacks are packed with all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the omega-3s. Keep your mind sharp. They say this is the food of elite warriors, and it actually exceeds the Army's requirements for 24-hour field rations. The winner will walk away with a 72-hour food supply of Nutrient Survival, okay? So, guys, remember, part of mindset is being able to take a shit sandwich, work with what you have, and make it work. So, Brian, you are going anywhere this side of the fire for your shelter. Adam, anywhere on that side of the fire for your shelter. Okay? Think about where you want to build it. Think about all the things I just told you you're going to be graded on. You have 3 hours. Here's your supplies. Up. Can't go through it until you have picked a shelter. So remember, make a plan. Time starts right now.
So, listen to see what's in the bag. Let's see what's in here. We have to survive off of. We have the live straw. Roadside emergency kit. Nutrient Survival. And that is it for the bag. So inside of this roadside kit, there are gloves, zip ties, and a flashlight. There are pliers, screwdriver, electrical tape, fire blanket, some bandages, and a poncho, strap, and jumper cables.
One thing I failed to mention. If you have a cup of hot Joe for me when I grade your structure, that's bonus points. I like my coffee black, not too hot.
And let's see what kind of goodies Shawn gave us. Looks like we got canned nutrient survival, and there's a knife and a saw. This is open. Piss poor planning promotes poor performance. Best of luck. If I can stand this up, you get a video. Liquid nutrient. Be able to do some of that. A live straw. A bunch of food. Saw. Swiss Army knife, and an emergency roadside kit, booster cables.
Here we go. Survival Showdown. Let's see what they got. Let's talk about this prize. One of you guys is gonna win. They say it is a 72-hour emergency food kit. Lasts 25 years. What they do not tell you is that's for 4 people. So the reality is, it's actually enough food for 12 days. See, Nutrient Survival is one of the only companies where when you read the fine print, it's actually good news. There's a lot to be said for that, especially nowadays. 2 hours left. 2 hours left. We're out here trying to find Brian, this old Kentucky boy. I'm pretty sure this gentleman is no stranger to the bush. And I'm fairly certain he crossed this river and he's building his shelter up top of this bluff. He's fucking putting out. There's no doubt about that. So basically what we're doing here, we're trying to find Brian. And what he's done is he waded across the river, hiked up the bluff. And I don't know if you can see him up there on the camera, but he's building his shelter all the way up top on that bluff. He's definitely got a good vantage point. He's not going to get flooded out. He's got that waterfall over there, which is a smaller creek running into that, which is spilling into this. So he's in a good spot. He's in a real good spot. So Adam's building his shelter right off the main creek, and he's got a smaller creek that runs into the main one that he's set up right next to. Great concealment. He's got really good concealment over there. We can barely see it, but I think he might be in a flood zone, which means if it floods, there goes your structure. We'll verify that shortly.
You have 1 hour left. I repeat, 60 mics left. Good luck. Everybody, stop what they're doing. Time is up.
Let's go see how we did. I see smoke. And a fucking hot cup of coffee. Damn.
I get melted it, dude. There's something ain't going right. I don't know what
You got a fire going.
Here you go. That was your agate.
Thank you.
Oh,
Well, how did it go?
well, it's a wet woods. Everything is rotten and wet, and so what material you got is far and few between. So it wasn't an easy task to find stuff to put anything together with that was dry enough to hold up. And but I did what I could, man. I don't know.
Well,
I think I could make it through the night,
Yeah,
especially
I'd
if they
say
had
so.
a fire.
Looking real good. So give us a tour.
All right, so started out and I was headed up the holler. Y'all were like, you know, we're going into the woods because somebody's after you. That was like the whole point of going into the woods, right?
Yep.
So, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm getting up high where I can see, you know, if somebody's coming in. So I walked down, and the way the land's laid out, I came down around the creek right there, and I found a shallow that was like knee shallow, you know, but it was shallow enough to come across. And then I came up, and there's like a little ravine in that holler right there that spring's running out, and that brung me up around through here. And in that way, if somebody was tracking me, you know, I'd have a view of them right here. And I don't know if they'd find me. I tried to be easy as I come out of the creek on the other side, but even if they did find me, I could still have a pretty good point. And then once I got my breath back from climbing up on the mountain up here, you know, pretty much I watched you and Jeff do a survival shelter in Alaska, and so I had kind of a basis to go off of. That's what I was thinking. there wasn't a whole lot of like how to do it. It was just kind of the end result. Here's what it looks like. And so I had an idea, and I looked through, I took, you know, and got all the stuff out that we were allowed, and, you know, looked through it. I mean, I didn't see anything there that was like, okay, this is going to build me a shelter
Yep.
that I'm going to be able to survive in. So I thought, well, I got 3 hours, so I'm going to do everything I can with what natural resources I got, and then I'll save what's in the kit for the last, you know, and that way if I run out of time or whatever, I can just throw something together with that. Or so, and I kind of thought that I would just kind of lay the garbage bags down to keep me up off the ground, and then worst case scenario, you can put the poncho on, you know, if you can get up from underneath all this, and you know, at least get dry. I tried to get all the leaves, and there was a bunch of briars in here. I cleaned that out, and then you know, started use the toe strap to make my support, because I knew I wasn't gonna have time to dig all that sticks in and like make a structure, and I used the Swiss Army knife that you
Shit's
have.
solid.
And well, I had about a quarter of the way in, my support beam broke. I used a rotten piece of wood for my support beam. I already had, I started out making a lean-to, and I'm like, well, if I run out of time, at least I'll have one side done. You know, so I started piling up sticks on one side, and then I kind of thatched it with this kind of stuff. This is the only thing I could find with leaves in the woods. And so, sorry, man, I heard a lot of your trees up here, but
We got plenty of them.
anyway, I put that down, and then I used the garbage bags to, you know, I couldn't find anything but just old wet leaves. That's about all there is here to work with. No evergreens, no cedar. I don't see anything green anywhere. So I thought, well, I'll thatch it with this kind of stuff, and then that'll hold the leaves up. And then I just took bags of leaves, and I got the leaves started dumping on them, and my beam broke. And I'm like, okay, well, there's a lesson, you know.
We were sitting down there when the beam broke.
Don't
We got it on
make
video.
sure you got a good strong beam, you know, support or whatever for whatever shelter you're building, or you're wasting your time. So I lost a little bit of sweat there, and so you know, all I basically had to do is just pile everything. I had the material there already. I just had to start over and go find me. I found a good solid piece of sycamore that just fell probably in this ice storm right up there. And then, like I say, I just tied it up with the toe straps, and then I basically, I just wrapped this plastic bag on there, because every time I would walk back over here, this stood out to me, that yellow. And I was just going to put some tape around it, but I didn't want to waste one of my garbage bags. But I'm like, every time I walked back, I could see that yellow. It was like sticking out like a sore thumb. So I wrapped it up, and then, you know, pretty much the same thing on the other side. I went down I couldn't really figure out exactly how to make the back door. I just kind of stuck some sticks down through that, and I figured, you know, somewhere over time I could make some improvements later on. And then I dumped all the thatching I could find. You know, the more I worked, the farther I had to go out to find materials and so on and so forth. And so I kind of left this end open a little bit, and I figured I'd put me like a little fire pit here. I went down over to the creek, and I filled I went down over to get me a drink, man. I was dry, so I went over and filled that little bucket thing up, and used my shirt to gather up some rocks and make a little fire pit. And I was aiming to get me a drink right here pretty quick. Yeah, yeah, well, I done tried the live straw. Well, actually, I just got me a drink straight up. So I hope that creek's pretty good shape, because the time I got down there to it, it was too late. I had to have a drink. That's all there was to it. But it looks a whole lot cleaner than what most stuff I've seen out there, man. It looks like it's coming right up out of the ground back there. And then you can see, you know, Grandpa always said if it goes over like 4 or 5 rocks there, you're good. And you can't see no tracks where animals or nothing has been in there, you know,
Yeah.
dying or using them as whatever.
Do you see those little snails in the water?
I did not, no.
There's a bunch of snails in all of these.
That's a good
creeks.
sign.
Yep. And apparently those only live in the cleanest
water, yeah.
So
Well, I know a little bit about the area in western Kentucky, and I mean, these springs are just awesome. They're some of the best drinking water there is.
yeah.
People pays big money for that. But, you know, I was just getting ready to, you know, try to see if I couldn't get something going with the fire when you called time. So it wasn't completely lit when you guys called time. I just went ahead. I mean, it was smoking, but I didn't really have it burning. And but I was like, heck with it. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up.
Well, let's try that damn coffee out.
Hot cocoa?
I don't know.
Who's drinking it?
You got me, man. I mean, there's a little bit of ashes down in there, but that ain't gonna hurt nothing.
That means it's clean.
We're definitely well concealed.
Well, the thing that stuck into my mind was it don't do you no good to build a shelter if they find you. You're not hiding. It does look like cocoa, don't it?
That does look like. Babe, you drinking it?
Hell yeah, I'm drinking it.
We probably had worse. No, you're not.
I mean, it ain't hot, but I can put it down the coals, it'd warm up. It ain't too bad. Especially without no cream or sugar, straight up.
I'll be the judge of that.
It's pretty good, man. It's not hot enough. It needs to sit on the coals a little bit farther. Warm.
I think it's just fine.
I didn't want to put too much. I figured we was going down
Considering
over
the circumstances.
I figured we was going down over the hill or something, and I didn't want to drag too much sticks up here to build too much of a fire.
Let's do a little walk around. How many of the trash bags did you use?
I used all three, so I got 2 of them laying down end to end, and then I used one of them to haul my leaves. I tried to go up behind my shelter to get all my materials because, like, you know, from what I've learned is you get kind of back off the edge of the point and it's hard for people to see you down there. But if you, like, you know, if you mess everything up here and make tracks everywhere, you can kind of see a disturbance there.
Yep.
So I tried to go back there. You can see where I've been wallering around back there. And I used a garbage bag to haul the leaves. And then I just laid them down. I figured I'd just lay them to have something to lay on and put the blanket down. And then this strap was aggravating me. I was like, hell with it. I hate to burn a garbage bag, but I didn't have enough black tape to cover it up.
Adam, what's going through your head right now?
Oh my goodness.
Should have looked in the can. I could have did a hell of a lot better if I'd have known I had more stuff. But
Well, we don't even know how you did yet. Oh, yeah. Nice work. I'm impressed. Well, let me, one other thing. How did you do your approach in?
Like I say, I came from the field over here where the fire started, and then down the bottom, and then I found me a place that I could cross the river, or a creek, or whatever that is, and then it was kind of like knee-deep cross place, and then I came up this, where the creek runs, and come up that hill right there, so that way, you know, I'm assuming that people are following your tracks, they got to come in front of me, and I kind of built my thing overlooking the landscape in front of where we come from, you know.
I'm impressed. So your tracks, you came up that,
I came up
you
that-
came straight up the waterfall.
Well, I came up the waterfall and then like right. Oh shoot!
Let's just
Like right over there. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
Here, I got a pan of water here. I can dump on this fire. Pretty much came right through here, and then
So you came up right here?
I think so. The path of least resistance up that waterfall up to here. There was a spot. I couldn't find a way to get up on top here at first. I didn't come up of the waterfall, so I must have came. I came down lower than the waterfall. It had to be right through here somewhere. Cause I had a hard time finding a way. It's fucking steep. Yeah, to get up here. But then I was like, all right, let's get them down there. Yeah, here it is. This point,
All right, that's good now. You came up right here though, huh?
kind of zigzag back and forth. See right there?
Yeah.
See that little path right there?
Yeah.
I think I remember that one of the trees. coming up that way. Because I couldn't figure out how to get up there. I'm like, there's got to be something. And then when I seen this little waterfall, I was like, hell, there's got to be some way up there.
Nice work.
But I've been I've been running up and down mountains over in West Virginia on storm for like 2 weeks. This is like Billy Goat world.
Hell yeah.
And this is kind of where I live. This looks like home to me.
Really?
The woods are different trees. Like I say, that would probably make some. That's wet. The woods are a little different. There's more pine and cedar. Like instead of using this kind of stuff, I probably would have tried, something. I was looking for something green, but there ain't nothing. And then I tried the moss. That didn't work.
There is like 50 acres of pine.
Really?
Yeah, that we farm out here.
Cool.
Straight that way. But it's a hum.
I didn't venture too far. No,
Yeah.
As soon as I got, like I say, most of the stuff on the ground was like, wet and rotted, and so I had to kind of pick through it. And then I started seeing stuff like this that was like dry but up. And I just found me a couple. Well, right where the reason I made it in the exact spot it's in is because there were 2 trees right together there, where I could use them for a lever. But
You know where you identified your location? Where were you when you identified that location? Were you right on top of it? Or?
Yeah, well, actually, I came on up here, and I was kind of looking for a flat spot because, like I said, I wanted to get my profile back away from
That's nice too. You got a vantage point.
from the hill.
You got a vantage
people
point
couldn't
through
see me.
through your shelter of your approach.
And I think what drew me to that in particular spot was I saw these trees standing together,
yeah.
and I'm like, heck, I can use that right there for support. And like I say, I was using the trees to like wedge them branches in between and break them,
Nice. All right. Well, shelter number 1 from Brian. Let's check out the next one.
All right, we're on.
Adam, what do we got going on over here?
We have a teepee type shelter. I opened up this emergency roadside kit, looked inside, knew I had a trap, so I used that for my base, and then did my limbs to the side, just picked up what I could find. It also had a poncho in it. I used that in the trash bag I had.
Use that up top?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Used it up top to help. And then got little twigs. Just one entrance I could see out the back if I need to. I got a little open area I can see out the side because I noticed the road was right here. So if anybody came up, I would be able to see the road. And I noticed the creek.
So you position this so that you can see the road?
Yes.
All right.
And then I have the bamboo to my back, so that's more cover.
Yep. You definitely got great concealment.
That way, also, there is a little creek right here. If I needed to get away and hide my tracks, I could jump in creek, follow to the river, go up.
Nice.
That was my big concealment. I was worried about that.
What was your approach?
At first, it was making it bigger enough for...
When I mean approach, how did you find the spot and what was your...
River, I heard the water, knew I wanted to be close to the water. That way I would have an exit, and if I need water, I could use it. And then I started somewhere else, decided no, it was not a good vantage point and I could be seen by the road. So I decided to follow the little creek down till I knew I was away from the road.
All right, guys, we just went through the challenge, saw both shelters, which actually were both really good. Adam, I know you're a little upset that you didn't get all the supplies, but we'll go over that in a minute. But just starting off with approach. the mindset on both your approaches were there. Brian, you actually crossed a terrain feature. You went over 2 terrain features to get to your shelter, which is actually textbook special operations patrolling. They say if you take a contact or you get compromised or whatever happens that doesn't go in your favor, you're not really cleared until you have 2 terrain features between you and the X being whatever just happened. And you did a river and stream crossing, which surprised the shit out of me. And then you crested a about a 50-foot cliff. So with that being, and then on your approach, even on your approach, you did somewhat of a J hook in with a vantage point from where your approach came from. So, and to be honest with you, where you were set, you have a vantage point. Your vantage point was amazing. You could see this entire valley from up there. Adam, your approach was good too. You did somewhat of a J hook in. What I would have liked to have seen is you kind of go around the fort a little bit, or not the fort, I'm sorry, the structure a little bit more and into the ass end. So basically what you did is you came down the stream and then jetted right to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you would have, you know, come from this side, your structures here or shelters here, if you would have wrapped around a little bit more and come in the backside like that, then if anybody was tracking you, your shelter being here, you would have seen them right here. You would have seen them come around here, and then you would have been waiting for them with your SIG P365 right here. You know what I'm saying? So you would have seen them come all the way in. But your mindset was there. You did do it. So I'm gonna give you, you know, the approach was good too. Location. One thing about location with you, Brian, is it was a very, very good location. One thing, the way that I was able to identify you, well, we'll save that for concealment. Your location was great. You had great vantage point. You're within distance to water, ton of water. You're on a cliff. It's going to be real hard to climb that cliff. Flood zone, definitely out of the flood zone. The only thing on your location I would have done maybe a little bit more would be to crest over that just a little bit more.
On back away from the...
Yeah, maybe just a
More
little
back?
bit more. And actually I'll just bring it up right now. I couldn't find you it took me about 15 minutes to figure out where the hell you were at. I thought I saw you on the other side of the river, and I was like, nah, it probably just looks like that. And I was like, did he actually wade across the river? And you did. The only way that I was able to figure out where you're at, because I could even hear you talking to the camera.
Yeah.
The only way I could hear, I could figure out where you were at is I could see your silhouette up top.
I was
So-
too close to the edge here.
A little bit too close, but to be honest with you, once the shelter was built, I couldn't have seen you, you know,
Right.
unless you're up running around. But you did silhouette yourself a little bit on that hill. Had it been spring, summer, fall, no way I would have picked you out.
Right.
I could just see skyline behind you because there's no leaves on the trees, and you know we're in wintertime.
Yeah, I knew I needed to get back from the edge a little bit, and looking down, you know, it looked like I was far enough back, and then just kind of that was the spot. Whenever I started working on it, I was looking for a level play. Once I got up on top there, and I kind of thought about that and the vantage point and stuff, I tried to get my breath. I was thinking about, you know, I needed to sit back some from it, but from up there, you know, it kind of looked like I would come back like 25 yards or something, so it looked like I was back far enough. And then I got thinking about what the terrain was there, like for building it. It was level, and there was like some other trees there I could use for structure, and then kind of I just switched gears and started thinking about that. like the found, you know, where that was a flat place, and I had some little bit of resources there, and just kind of moved on. Once I picked the spot, that was it. I was done. I was going with it, and I kind of just moved on. You know, once I got to the point that I thought it was far enough back. You know.
With that being said, you know, I'm nitpicking the shit out of you here.
Right.
I just want you to be aware of how I found you. With that also being said, had you moved back too much farther, you would have had to you would have had to leave the structure to get a good situational awareness of what's going on. Location, Adam, the location was good. I liked the mindset you had behind that location. You had 2 different water sources around you. I liked where your head was at when you were talking about the escape route, jumping in the creeks to cover your track. That was really heads up. The one thing about your look, I liked how you had a vantage point to the road, both roads. That was solid. You actually moved from your original location,
Yes,
correct?
because I figured out I was too close to the road and I wasn't going to take a chance of somebody coming down the road and seeing me, and I was like, no, I don't like this, and there was no way to conceal it, so I decided the bamboo would be better, and I could leave and I could still move around in bamboo if I needed to.
Yeah.
And I looked, and it was downhill, so I noticed that rain was going to probably go that way, but it was enough downhill, it was still slanted enough that water would go past that. It wouldn't just stop on me.
Well, it was a good spot. I like where your head was at. The one thing that sucks where you were at is you spent all that time building that shelter, and we're moving into springtime real fast. It rains more in this state than any other state in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And you were only about maybe 3 to 5 foot above the river. And believe it or not, that river will flood all the way up to the bottom of this cabin.
Wow.
Well, didn't know about the rain.
So with that being said, now that doesn't happen very often, but you were, I would say you were about 25 yards off
about
the creek.
25, 30.
And so if we did have a flash flood,
That'd be wet.
there goes all your supplies, and there goes your shelter.
Yeah.
So you had that. But I think if you would have been a little bit higher up, that would have been good. So you got approach, you got location, concealment. Both you guys had good concealment. Yours, it was easy for me to pick out because you didn't go far from the original briefing spot. But had I not known that you were there and seen you kind of moving around and gathering materials and stuff to build your shelter, I don't know, I would have been looking real hard to pick that out. So, you know, there's that. And it was very well concealed in that bamboo. I liked how you had it on one side, you had the creek on the other side. So you were very well concealed in your second location. Brian, you were very well concealed as well. I'm gonna actually give this one to Adam because you were semi-ridgeline, and the only way I was able to pick you out was by seeing your silhouette, and we even have it on camera. I could see the very top part of your structure silhouetted as well. I don't know if I would have been able to pick that out, you know, if I hadn't seen your person silhouetted.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually a tie, but I think you were a little better concealed, believe it or not. So
I figured those straps were sticking out like a sore thumb. I could see them every time I walked back through the woods with my sunglasses on. Those yellow straps was like sticking out really well. It didn't look natural, you know. It didn't look like part of the woods. And I tried to use stuff from behind where my shelter was so that you can see where I'd been dragging and making tracks, trying to build stuff. And but I could tell that I was like, man, I know they can see them yellow straps down there. And
Right.
we
ended
couldn't
up
see
burning
them.
one of my garbage bags trying to hide them. I was like, that ain't gonna work.
But
High vis yellow.
it was very well concealed. It was just a little bit, like I said, it was just a little bit silhouetted. And the reason I'm going to give it to Adam is because it was concealed, and you utilized great dead space on this side of the field, which is a big open slot. You know what I mean? So you used great dead space getting behind that bamboo, and then you had plenty of concealment from the trees on the other side as well. And you actually had pretty decent, not as good of a vantage point as him, but considering you were very well concealed. So, and concealing those yellow straps, that was really heads up as well. So concealment goes to Adam. Stability, I think we know who that goes to, don't we? Yeah. That structure was solid. Adam, I don't know, man.
I'd have made it.
I don't know. You think you would have?
Oh yeah. Few
Yeah.
days.
I think it was stable. I don't know how that would be in a month with all the
It
weather
probably about been redone before that.
coming through.
Yeah,
But
that was just a one-nighter, and then I would work on it the next day.
yeah. Well, in the brief, we briefed for a month, so stability.
You got it.
Brian, that's all you. Elements to keep you out of the weather. I like how Adam. I like how you use the tarp or the poncho that came in the emergency vehicle thing up top. That was good. And then did you have a trash bag at the bottom with the blanket too?
No, I used the trash bag. The stuff came in on the end for the feet area, and then the poncho on the torso part. Then I did like limbs on top of it, like fletching and stuff, and then there's a pile of leaves for the weight, so
Yeah.
it would conceal, and it would be keep water off.
Yeah. It was it didn't go all the way down. You could have used a little bit. You could have used some more brush leaves. There's a couple of cedar trees over there that would have been great. That would have been great to elevate you and give you some insulation as well. So if you would have used some pine branches, pine needles, or cedar, which is kind of like pine, and use that as some bedding, it would have kept you warm from being off the ground.
All
If
I
that
had
makes
was
sense.
that black blanket.
Yeah.
For the bedding.
And then if you would have used some more trees or leaves or the other supplies that I gave you, which we'll talk about in a minute, you could have kept it out of you could have kept yourself a little more windproof and a little more waterproof than you were. Brian, I'm surprised, to be honest, that you didn't use the trash bags as on your roof and then covered with the trees. I saw a couple of holes in there, but I think for the most part that would have kept you pretty dry, and definitely kept you out of the wind. And so weather, protecting yourself from the elements, that goes to Brian as well. Those are pretty much all the main points. Just some other things I wanted to bring up is the food and the water. So Brian, I don't know if you did it because you were honestly thirsty and hungry, or if you were just keeping yourself ahead of the game. But I kind of touched on the nutrient survival stuff and how it keeps your mind sharp, and I put the water filter in there, the life straw in there so you guys can stay hydrated. One thing, when you're in these kind of situations, you do not want to fall behind the power curve on hydration and food. That keeps your mind sharp, that gives you energy, that keeps you hydrated, which keeps you warm. Okay, so it's real important to stay ahead of the ball game when it comes to this kind of shit, because once you fall behind, it's over. You're already so far behind the power curve that it's over. So way to keep hydrated, way to eat those chocolate chip cookies. The way you utilized a lot of the different supplies, use the nutrient survival can to get your water, use the kindling, you got your fire going, use the trash bags to collect the leaves. You use the trash bag to cover the toe strap, the yellow toe strap to help you conceal more. You utilize a lot of the stuff. Adam.
I use the knife too. I probably use
In
the
Adam's
knife.
unopened can of nutrient survival, look at all the stuff in here you missed. There's your cookies.
I'm hungry for one now.
Carabiners. More cookies.
Holy shit.
More cookies. And here's your note. Open. Go ahead and open that. Did you get the note?
I did get the note.
Did it make sense to you?
I don't remember exactly all what it said. I'd be lying if I said I did. I burned the envelope to start the fire, but I kept the note. It was like something. I honestly don't. I thought it was something to do with the challenge, and once I realized it was just like a, kind of deal. It was like, you get your ass in gear, and I put it back in the thing again.
Everybody always forgets planning. Both of you guys actually had a plan, but I wanted to put a note in there.
Poor planning is piss poor performance.
Yeah,
That's what
7
it says.
P's. Piss poor planning promotes piss poor performance.
Yeah.
Best of luck. I like my coffee black. So your plan was, you're going to need a lot of materials. So you're going to come up with a plan while you're gathering materials, which is exactly what I would have done. Was that your plan too? Nice. So you didn't need the note.
No. But
Some of this other shit.
I could have used all this other shit, but I would have probably did stuff a lot different knowing I would have had this. But
I just read it and took it as get your ass in gear, go. Is what I took it as, and I throwed it back in the can and went on.
So Brian, you win the 72-hour nutrient survival packaged food. Long term, lasts for 25 years, and I don't know if you heard me say this on the bullhorn, but what I was saying is, so they call it a 72-hour kit, but it's a 72-hour kit for 4 people. So for one person, it's actually a 12-day kit.
Cool.
So it's like the only company where you read the fine print and it's actually fucking good news.
yeah.
Right. So you're taking home the 72-hour survival kit or the 12-dayer, and then we will divvy up the cookies.
That I didn't even know about.
You guys can divvy them up. We got a bunch of them. You guys can go home with that. But congratulations, man.
Thanks, sir.
Way to take home the W.
Good job.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
good job. There's nothing to be ashamed of here, considering you didn't have any of this shit,
I just had
or
this.
you didn't know you had any of this shit. You built a hell of a shelter. So, and it was,
Appreciate it.
yeah, it was good to go. But
And honestly,
it wasn't compared to the Taj
mansion?
Mahal over
Yeah.
there, but
That
it
big
was
guy
good to
needs a
go.
bigger shelter. I'm like, little guy.
So Brian, real quick, what was the most useful piece of kit that you got in the trash bag?
there is
Swiss Army
the
knife?
knife. Yeah, definitely the knife.
Well, I think it went extremely well.
So it was fun.
It was very fun.
Congratulations, guys. You guys both knocked it out of the park.
Thank you.
Adam,
Look, I'm from
Man.
Texas. Everything's flat. These hills. So, this was my first time doing a mindset challenge. I would definitely do it again. I learned a lot. It opened my mind up. I mean, really pushed it to learn what I needed to do in the time I was given. Wish I would have went back and looked at my supplies, but other than that, it was very eye-opening. Going through the mindset challenge, learning everything I learned, and seeing the other contestant do his stuff and what Shawn explained, probably would have did some stuff a little different, supplies being main thing, and then learning the terrain a little bit more instead of jumping right into building the shelter. That would have been more of a goal to do first. Other than that, I think it went pretty good.
I've learned a lot being a part of Shawn's community and on his platform, and used some of it today when we got the challenge. Had no idea what we were getting into, and we were in the dark from the time he picked us up till the time he said go. I definitely got a huge learning experience on what would you do. Yeah, but like I say, I'd be definitely had a good time today, and it whooped my butt. I'm wore out, but I enjoyed it, and anything I can do to help support Shawn or the entire community, I'll be more than willing to do.
You know, Brian came down, Adam came down, and they came down here to do the mindset challenge. I think they crushed it, both of them. I think Adam learned a very valuable lesson. But with that being said, both of them came down here. They had no idea what the hell I was going to throw at them, and they did perform. They both came up with a plan. They executed the plan. They had a mindset behind every decision that was made. Brian went over 2 terrain features to build his shelter. That was amazing that he was able to do that and was heads up enough to do that. Adam was very well concealed, even though he didn't get all of the gear that we issued him to build the shelter. He still, you know what he did? He improvised and he fucking made it work, which is exactly what he was supposed to do. And kudos to both of them. I made my decision based off of those key points, those key topics that I brought up in the debrief, and Brian just definitely excelled a little bit more than Adam, and just knocked it out of the park. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you Nutrient Survival for sponsoring the show. If you think you have what it takes to be on the next challenge, we pick them from Patreon Tier 3. It's not a sweepstakes. Be prepared to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and maybe, if we think you're a good fit, you'll be on the next show. With that being said, stay vigilant.